You're doing it wrong. Plain and simple, you are doing it wrong. Well, that's what we're talking about today. Everyday KT 348. I always keep forgetting right after I type it in. It's really screwball. Anyway, you're doing it wrong. There's a lot of things that can be learned from hearing that phrase from someone. One, you actually are doing it wrong. Now, first part is maybe, maybe not. There are the right and the wrong way to do some things. Vast majority of things, there's a great many ways of doing things. Kilts, for instance, very simple. The wrong way to wear a kilt, pleats in the back. These right here. I'm sorry, pleats right here and that are in the back, wear them in the front. That is wearing a kilt wrong. After that, whatever. Some people think I'm wearing the kilt wrong right now because my belt is a tad askew and I'm not wearing a traditional Scottish style shirt. And I don't have kilt toes on. I have some socks, some winter socks. They might think I'm wearing this wrong. Well, that's tough because I'm not changing. There are a lot of people who believe that there is one way to do everything. Everything has one single specific method, and anything outside of the specific method that they know is wrong, even though you might get to the same result, the same success at the end of whatever it is you're doing. I put on my kilt, yep, pleats are in the back, okay. Put on my sporran, my belt, shirt, glasses if I need them, boots, whatever, I'm good to go. I have succeeded in getting dressed in the morning. Some people say I have not, but hey, who knows? So, it doesn't matter what they think. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because if they are a proven and publicly accepted expert in their field, i.e. Stephen Hawking with physics, something along those lines, then yeah, you might want to pay attention to them. But that doesn't mean that you're also not right. That means that you have your way, they have their way. You know, bottle of water. I unturn it this way, maybe I open it this way. Maybe I hold it down and drink it like this. Maybe I drink it like this. Maybe I take this foolish thing off altogether and then drink the water. 3 different ways, same result. I drink the water and then put it back on. Again, perfect example, right and wrong. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay? That's a vast majority of the time that is correct. But I have heard of places where it's not. I don't use them very often, whatever those tools and bolts are, but it does happen. So, like I said, it does happen that it could be a single way to do things. Most are not. Now, we talked about this. So there's basically 2 different things. First off, you've got the people who like, there's one way to do it, everybody else is wrong. Fine. Then you have the people who, there's only one way to do it because they're threatened by another way because they don't understand it, or they comprehend that as being competition for whatever it is they do. Websites. A million different ways to make a website. One person says, I love this way to do it. I do it this way every time. Somebody says, that's awesome, but I do it this way. Same end result, different method. You know, somebody does it this way, do it that way. You're going to get the same thing done. So the people who are dyed in the wool, like, oh, it's got to be done this way or else it's wrong, they could feel threatened. It could be threatening their livelihood, their status, which is usually the case, their status as the expert, because they know the way to do it. You come along and say, hey, oh, look, now there's 2 ways to do it, because most people may not know what it is you do. Everybody will be like, oh, wait a minute, he's not up on a pedestal anymore because this guy knows a different way to do things. Oh, now which one's better? And, well, that's called competition, and yeehaw, we're off to the races. So you've got to look at these 2 different ways of you're doing it wrong. And then you have to learn from these ways. Because this first type of people where, you know, it's mostly one way to do things, but they just don't like any other way, pay attention to how they do it, because you can learn. What that can do is that can transform you into the other guy for the second group of people, where you go someplace, everybody's like, oh, this is how it's done. You come in and say, oh, this is the other way. You've learned that because you paid attention to start with. So keep your eyes open and learn different ways to do things. Because yes, there are a million ways to do just about everything. Most people stick with one because it's the way they learn and it's the way that they understand how something works. If you can figure out how that way works and something else, well, you can become king of all you survey because you're the one who knows everything. And the more you learn about it, the better off you are. The other thing that's really great about this is as you keep learning, you get better at it. People see you getting better at it, and they see it and they realize, wait a minute, that guy's onto something. What's he doing? How's he understanding this way to do it, and this way to do it, and that way to do it, and this way to do it, and that way to do it? How? It's like, I don't know. Must be something crazy. But he's smart, so let's go and see what he has to say. You could become that person. Just keep your ears open. Keep your mind open. Because sometimes these different ways of thought, different ways of doing things, can mess with your judgment of reality and your perception of right and wrong. Doesn't mean you have to do them, it just means you have to understand them. I mean, think of it this way. If you have good and you have no bad, how are you ever going to know how good you really have it? And how are you going to know exactly where on the good to bad scale you really are? If you don't know a little bad, you're never going to know how awesome the good is. I use this as an example. It's in Kiltology somewhere. If you wear pants all the time, you're never going to know the freedom of the kilt. If you ever wear the kilt but never pants, you're never going to know the freedom you enjoy. And if you wear both the kilt and the pants, you will be forever free in mind, body, and spirit because you know exactly how free you really are. So you have to know both sides of that coin. So go back. I mentioned two different types of people who say you can't do it. The first group of people who's like, there's one way to do it and that's it. And you've just got to stick with that. And then you have the second group who are afraid of you because you're coming up with something different, but it does the same thing that they do. Somebody might think that you do it better and steal their thunder. Go to the first people and learn everything you can from those people because they know a hell of a lot about what they know. They don't care about the rest because they just don't. And yeah, they'll always tell you you're wrong and you have to grow some very thick skin because you're going to have to deal with that. But you learn. And then you go where there's the second group of people who are afraid of you because you know how to do things differently than they do. And then you go kick ass, succeed, do awesome, amazing things because you learn, use your brain, the thing up here that the seagulls poke at, and do from that amazing things. Take that knowledge and use it. Do something great, help other people, find ways to impress upon people the belief that they can think for themselves, do for themselves, and be badasses without a crutch or some kind of God knows what propping them up. They can stand on their own 2 feet and do awesome. So with that, I'm going to give everybody a second because all the feeds are finally working and I can see people talking down here. So welcome everybody. There's a whole bunch of people. Nathan and Chris and Angela, some other folks that are in there. Somebody throw up a volume of Kiltology. You got 1 and 2. And if you're not careful, I'll make it volume 3, the old-fashioned way by the book. Wow, 3. So, like I said, learn from the people who don't believe that there's a different way to do things. And then go talk to the people who are afraid of what you're doing because you're doing it differently. And then kick some serious ass and rock the hell out of what you're doing. Volume 2. Nope, those suck. So here we go. We're talking about 2 different types of people. The ones who telling you you're doing it wrong because they like the way they do it and that's it. And then they've got the other people who are afraid of you. Well, this talks to group 2. Kiltology number 380. It's in Kiltology volume 2. It's on Amazon. Go buy a copy. Don't bother butting heads with the kilty, figuratively or realistically. You would have a better time ramming your head into a granite wall. It's softer. Why do I say that? Because it's simple. everything I've said in this video so far. People who learn from the naysayers, they understand what they do, and then they go through and kick ass at what they do, showing those naysayers that they are in fact wrong, in that there are more than one way to do things. That is why it is impossible to try to butt heads with a guy in a kilt, because, well, theoretically speaking, they are fairly hard-headed. I know I am. But they also have got the stick-to-itiveness to follow through with the plan. Once they get their mind in the right spot and they get everything working for them, you're not stopping them. You're going to tell them, hey, you're not doing it right. And they're going to be like, yeah, well, but it still works. So, tough. Go play in traffic. So, with that, I'll let you go. It's Sunday night. Tomorrow, you're going to need your coffee because it's Monday. It's cold as hell up here in New England. Hopefully, wherever you are, it's a little warmer. And remember this, though. If it's cold as hell up there, windy as hell, it sucks outside, do not be an idiot. Do not be that moron wearing a kilt in the middle of a hurricane or a blizzard just because you think you're a badass. You're going to get frostbite in places you don't want it, and you don't want to be the one in the hospital and they say, oh yeah, I took this guy's kilt off and it looked like Smurf berries under there. That's not going to be good for you, ever. The nurses will not laugh. Well, they might laugh, but at you, and not in a good way. So, dress warm, get your kilt on, go out there, and be strong. Put a kilt on.